Hello and welcome to Uddevalla in Sweden for round 10 of the FIM World Motocross Championship. Coming up on today's programme, we'll be catching up with Stephen Frossard as he makes his return here, and he'll also be taking us on our onboard lap with Ken Dyker, who we'll be chatting to later in the programme with his teammate Antonio Cairoli. And if you remember last year, poor Tony had an absolute nightmare here. We'll also be hearing big team news from Honda and Husqvarna for 2014. But before all of that, let's take a look round at the surrounding area of Uddevalla.
So the World Motocross Championship then returns to Sweden and the Glimmingir Motorstadion in Uddevalla, one of the mainstays of the series. The Swede Sten Lundin was the first winner here back in 1958, but in all there have been 33 different victors. Stefan Everts has 6 wins, but Tony Cairoli is closing in on that record with 4 of his own. And despite his rapid rise to success, Jeffrey Hurlings may have 25 Grand Prix victories under his belt, but he's never won here before, so he'll be looking to chalk up a win here this weekend. It's round 10 of the FIM Motocross World Championship. This is the Swedish Grand Prix.
Well, the biggest news this weekend is that Stephen Frossard will be making his return to the GPs. Stephen, you're about to do your onboard lap, so let's make our way down to the start line. It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen you fully fit.
Yeah, it's very nice to be here in Sweden to make the GP. Yeah, it was a very difficult season, beginning of season, but now I feel better, and I will try to keep my speed and to make a good result, but we will see what's happened.
And it's been a long wait for your team too. Have they been really supportive?
Yeah, it was difficult for the team because yeah, 2 years I broke my knee, and for sure it's difficult for the sponsor, for my parents and for everybody. But now I'm come back, and I hope I will make a good result.
Well, you put your helmet on. I think Ken's waiting for you just over there.
It's about 80 metres down to the first corner. It's pretty flat, but it's a fairly tight and slippery first turn. On the exit, they go back past pit lane and then over the floater here, dropping downhill for the first time into the left-hander, which is turn 2. A short burst to turn 3. Then the riders hang a right. There'll be a choice of lines through there. It'll be hard and slick. Come the race, there'll be a whole load of bumps as well as they accelerate uphill onto the plateau. Under the first of the Monster Energy bridges for the tabletop, right on the top end of the circuit, before braking hard into this right-hander. Used to be quite sandy through there, but it's down to the bare rock. This year, through 4 waves, not quite possible to double your way through, so it's just going to upset the balance of the bike a little bit just towards the end of that section. Then we go through the left, through the right, drop downhill through the valley, and then back up almost level with turn 1. You just see it over there to the right. This was Cairoli's corner from last year. Then we head over one of the huge tabletops here, dropping downhill and then into this short little tabletop right on the entry to the corner. And there'll be a choice of lines through there as well come race day. Exit the turn, slightly uphill into the left-hander. And then as you can see, we're through the left over 4 waves. It's double through there before plunging back downhill into the banked right-hander. Then we start to drop down and then up over a tabletop. You can get all the way over it, but you have to run wide in the next corner. So most riders just plopping onto the top, dropping off the end, and then trying to hold a nice tight line. You see the right-hander here, there was a mogul just to the right-hand side. You can go over that or swing around it. Either way, it's going to be pretty rutty on this uphill approach to the big tabletop right in front of the main crowd area. This circuit unique in the fact that the spectators hang out on the rock face on the edge of the quarry here, and the riders plunge down into the step up, and then we go left off cambered here on the left hand side, or you can swing around the outside, either way. You hit the step down into the final corner, and then we have the Monster Energy finish line jump waiting for the riders. We drop downhill and then we rejoin at turn 1.
I expected after Valkenspar to be more stronger going on the season, but I had some problems with like crashing and bad starts, and finally we're back on that rhythm and on the podium. So we try to be consistent now the next 3, and then hopefully be even more stronger for the end of the season. I think I came to a certain age that I'm like no stress anymore. It's more fun this way. I'm so happy in this team and everything is going well with me and my teammate, and just having fun, and that's the way my results get better and better, and maybe I still can be championship, but not this year. I think he's already in front too much, and just keep having fun and keep putting pressures on other guys instead of the team.
It wasn't a happy hunting ground for Ken here last year, but it was even more testing for Tony. Tony, do you believe in luck as a racer?
For sure, I think there is few people who are more lucky than other people, but I think the most important thing is that you make the luck your own luck. I think if you are well trained and if you have a strong mind, I think you can stay away from most of the bad happens during the race. It can happen, and actually for me both motos DNF on this track so last year. So this year we want to have some revenge. Yeah, I know. I'm not feeling 100% with my knee injury on the last round in Maggiore in Italy, but I will do my best to for sure. On the worst case, it will be better than last year.
And how do you remove luck from the equation? Because you can't do that on your own.
No, I think for me, I do all the same every time, all the same stuff, and I think it's important to believe in yourself and just keep going. The season was still really long last year after this race, and it is also this year. So it's still there is no worries. There is always points on the championship that you can still earn.
And you're approaching yet another milestone of your career, 60th GP win possible.
Yeah. This is I'm trying to reach my 6th GP of the career, so it's gonna be a big thing. But like I said, always I don't watch the numbers. For me, it's important to win GP after GP. So this is my goal.
Thanks, Tony. Well, let's see if the KTM riders can turn their fortunes around on this track. Up now, MX2 Race 1.
MX2 Race 1 got underway, and into turn 1 first. It was a Monster Energy Yamaha of Christophe Charlier. The championship leader, Jeffrey Hurlings, fell at the first turn, and he would have to work his way right the way back through the field. In second place, it was the number 17 of Jose Boutron, but as you saw, Jeffrey Hurlings was making light work of everybody else as he charged through. Dylan Ferrandis went out early on from 7th place and would not rejoin the race. Meanwhile, Hurlings was having fun out there as the KTM mechanics looked on nervously. Boutron was coming under fire from number 45, Jake Nichols on the Wilvona Star JM Racing KTM. He found a way through, so too did Dean Ferris, and then the Spaniard was sent sprawling to the ground. He picked himself up, but would rejoin the race and eventually finish in 9th place. Hurlings then found his way onto the rear end of the number 17, Jose Boutron, and then he charged around the outside on the bottom end of the circuit, and that put Hurlings up into 7th position. His teammate Jordi Tixier was having a great ride as well. he was the lead Red Bull KTM rider, and once he found a way past Alexander Tonkov on the Ester Motorsports Honda, he was up into 4th place. Found his way into 3rd, but Christophe Charlier was having a great time up front, leading from the very first lap. Jake Nichols was in 2nd, Jordi Tixier was in 3rd, and then Hurlings moved into 4th place. Up front though, Charlier was untroubled. Meanwhile, number 300, Alessandro Lupino, he was charging through from 14th. Seemed to have 1 or 2 problems in the early stages of the race. But Jeffrey Hurlings made a move on Ferris and then went after his teammate Jordi Tixier. There was a few seconds in it by the time he got there, but then Hurlings carved up the inside. His teammate wouldn't let him have it easy, but then he made a mistake just coming out of that right-hander. And eventually he had to give way to his teammate. But the win went to Charlier. Nichols was 2nd, Hurlings was 3rd. Next up was MX1, race 1. The gate dropped, 1 or 2 guys tried to go a little bit early, got left behind, but it was Max Nagel and Tony Cairoli who duked it out for the whole shot. Cairoli eventually dropped downhill into turn 2 though as the leader. Just behind them was Clément de Salle on the Rockstar Suzuki, and then Jeremy Van Hoorbeek on the factory Kawasaki, with Stephen Frossard, who was the qualifying race winner back from injury, in 5th. Kenny Bobryshev, he also made a good start. He was in 6th position. It was harassing the 183 Monster Energy Yamaha of Frossard in the early stages of the race. Gauthier Paulin on the factory Kawasaki blasted up the inside of number 100 Tommy Searle on the CLS Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. And then he made a mistake. He lost the front end, or maybe even caught the rear wheel of Frossard. Either way, he was down in 9th. Bobryshev came in on the Honda World Motocross machine after tweaking an ankle and would not finish the race. But Tommy Searle was on the charge, and he found a way past the 183 of Frossard to go into 5th place. Ken de Dijker also found a way through on the Red Bull KTM, and then he would go after Tommy Searle. He made a brave move up the inside, left the Brit with nowhere to go, and then he would go after Jeremy Van Hoorbeek on the factory Kawasaki. Clément de Salle was having a quiet race. He was in 3rd on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki. Gauthier Paulin had another moment, but managed to keep it up on 2 wheels in 7th position, and that's where he would finish by the time the checkered flag fell. Max Nagel was consistent, he was smooth, and he was unflustered as he rode to 2nd place. But that wasn't the case for Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, number 89 on the factory Kawasaki. Had a big moment at the bottom of the hill that allowed Ken de Dijker to close in, and eventually de Dijker would charge his way through up the inside with a lap to go. But Tony Cairoli took the checkered flag. He was victorious ahead of Nagel. De Salle was 3rd.
We've had some pretty big news on both the rider front and from the manufacturers this weekend. First up, Honda have unveiled the 2014 CRF 250. The new MX2's Challenger is based on the concept and the chassis of its bigger brother. Both bikes share the same silhouette and internally Honda's new dual-time injector system, which on the 250 improves torque and bottom and mid-range power by the factory's target of around 4 bhp. Though there is no confirmation of a factory 250 team, the new Honda should help the existing Honda team fight off the return of Husqvarna. The Swedish brand will be back in 2014 with factory MX1 and MX2 teams. The MX1 effort will be in the hands of Ice One Racing, whilst Jackie Martins will head up the MX2 factory team with the only confirmed rider, Romain Frevre. On a rider's side, look out for a rejuvenated Sean Simpson. He's riding on the JK Gibbons Yamaha after a surprise split with the factory TM team. That left the door open for Tano Leot to return to the team he rode for 2 years ago. With one moto down, fitness starts to come into play, and Love My Training have a plan to ensure their riders keep up the pace until the checkered flag.
I'm Yves de Maria. I'm here with Love My Training and co-sponsor Stop Doc, because we are here to train the young riders, specifically Valentin Guyot, for this year. My objective is to give him the benefit of my experience and a bit more structure, because when Valentin gets it, he can get the best results in the European Championship. And above all, climb the peak to arrive in the World Championship, and we hope and wait that one day he will also become World Champion.
We start training together in beginning of February, and we start riding together in the middle of March. So it was a good point for me, because the last years I was good on the bike, but just 10 minutes. So now we work very hard for the physical condition, and now I'm leading the championship, the European Championship. So it's a very good point for me. With Yves, his experience, it's very good, because for the mental, for the spirit, for everything, he knows, because he was riding 20 years GPs. So every small things he can give me to be the best rider of this year.
That project helped the rider from growing up, and also physical training, mental training for reach a goal every rider wants, to be the best, to be competitive in the World Championship. That is what all of my training do help the rider with. He give him maybe a trainer or a mental coach, or all the things the rider need for follow his goal and for going up in his career. Yuri Naldini is my personal trainer, and he followed me all the races, and he helped me to do all the training at home in the winter, and that helped me also for physical condition for the long race, because in the World Championship too long heat, and it's high level in the moment.
Con Davide abbiamo intrapreso questa nuova.
With Davide, we implemented a new method of warming up for races. Basically, it's a dynamic warm-up, and it's another way to prepare oneself before going into the motos. He needs to activate the neuromuscular system. He needs to do this properly as well, and this is the right preparation for strenuous physical activity.
Un riscaldamento, una preparazione allo sforzo fisico.
A great crowd then for round 10 as MX2 race 2 was about to get underway. The heads went down, the gate dropped, and Jeffrey Hurlings was up the inside. Of course, he did not want a repeat of what happened in Moto number 1. Well, it was Jose Boutron and the Silver Action KTM who came out in front of everybody else, with Tixier in there, and so too Jeffrey Hurlings. A little bit further back, Mel Pocock made a good start, and he was in around about 4th or 5th position, and he got Christophe Charlier giving him company as well. Those two went at it, so too did the two Red Bull KTMs. Tixier trying to fend off the challenge from Hurlings, and Charlier finding a way through on Mel Pocock. However, as the race went into the second lap, Jeffrey Hurlings, number 84, became the lead Red Bull KTM rider as he found a way up the inside of 911 Jordi Tixier, his teammate. Just behind them was the number 23 Christophe Charlier, and then Boutron found himself being caught and passed by Jeffrey Hurlings, who stormed into the lead. Next up, it was Jordi Tixier. The number 911 jumped a little bit longer, forced an aggressive move down the inside. The Spaniard ran wide, and that was the Frenchman through. Next on the radar was Christophe Charlier. He also made an aggressive pass, came right across the front end of the KTM rider number 17 to slot himself into 3rd place. Lupino was another rider on the charge. He found a way past Mel Pocock. That put him up in a position. And then he would go after the likes of Jake Nichols and Tonkov just ahead of him. When he passed Alexander Tonkov, the number 59, that put Alessandro Lupino into 6th place. Then he caught Jose Boutron. Boutron was just running out of ideas in the second half of the race, and the Italian was through. He then found his way into 5th, and then into 4th, when he passed Jake Nichols on the Will van der Staan JM Racing KTM, number 45. It was just a little bit too far off the back of Charlier, though, to do anything about 3rd place. But it was a good ride and a good weekend for Alessandro Lupino on the CLS Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. The final lap, Jeffrey Hurlings spent most of the time just looking across the way to see if Jordi Tixier was still ahead of Christophe Charlier, because that would give him the overall Grand Prix victory. As he dropped downhill for the final time, Herlings knew that the race victory and the overall win was his, and that's 10 straight victories now in 2013 for the defending champion. So the overall Grand Prix then, Herlings wins it. He ties on points with Christophe Charlier, he takes his best result of the season. Jordi Tixier was third, and Jake Nichols was fourth this weekend. But Jeffrey Herlings, of course, extends his lead in the championship over Jordi Tixier. Jose Boutron cements himself in third, but Alessandro Lupino moves up from 9th to 8th in the championship. For Jeffrey Herlings, it's win number 26, and he leads going into round 11.
And now for the...
The gate dropped for MX1, race 2. And this time it was Antonio Cairoli who made the whole shot all his own as everyone slid through that first corner. Gauthier Paulin ran Stephen Frossard a little bit wide as he stormed into second, but then he made a mistake a lap later, and that forced him down to 9th position once again. Clément de Sal found a way up the inside of number 39, Davide Guarnieri on the Marchetti Racing KTM as he charged through. But Gauthier Paulin, he had the most work to do. Found a way past Frossard for the second time to put him into 7th place. Tommy Searle was in third on the number 100 Green Kawasaki, but he was being given a rough ride by the 25 of Clément de Sal on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki. Paulin found his way up the inside of Guarnieri to go 5th, and that's where he would stay. But then Tony Cairoli, despite having a gap of around about 2 or 3 seconds, suddenly found himself coming under the watchful eye of his teammate, number 9, Ken de Dijker, who was closing in and looking serious about taking a possible moto victory. So there were 2 battles going on at this stage of the race. De Dijker, number 9, was your leader, with Cairoli in 2nd position after Cairoli made a mistake, and de Sal had more than one opportunity to find a way through on Tommy Searle, but Tommy Searle was having none of it. Tommy Searle made Clément de Sal work for every single one of the 21 laps in this second race. And the circuit that was drying out, a completely different racetrack to what they had in qualification on Saturday, where we had nothing but rain all day. Cairoli, though, went back after his teammate Ken de Dijker as he realised that Tommy Searle and Clément de Sal were closing in. And with about 4 laps to go, he sensed his opportunity, jumped a little bit longer at the top of the hill, forced the move down the inside of the Belgian. Cairoli led again on lap 17. De Dijker, though, always kept him honest on the number 9 Red Bull KTM and continued to find a way to challenge. Stephen Frossard, well, he went out of 10th place after falling, and Evgeny Bobashev weekend went from bad to worse as he fell out of 15th. Back markers started to come into play, and it was nervous times for Tommy Searle as Clément de Sal really tried to force the issue on more than one occasion. But Searle managed to hold on, and then in the final lap went after the number 9 of Ken de Dijker. And Tony Cairoli was just ahead of him as well, but when the flag fell, it was Cairoli, de Dijker and Searle, although Tommy Searle was later docked 10 positions for having found being guilty of jumping on a yellow flag. Cairoli won his 60th Grand Prix here in Sweden. Ken de Dijker was 2nd overall, Clément de Sal was 3rd. Cairoli still leads the championship.
Racing is done for our first GP of 3 in a row. We'll be back in 1 week's time for round 11 in Latvia. But for now, it's time to sit back and let rip at the Monster Energy Party. We'll see you in Riga.